All right. This is an oral history interview conducted for the Witness to War Serving a Nation project at Nauset Regional High School on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. For the sake of this interview, please state your full name and the community in which you reside.
My name is Scott Kahlane, and I reside in Wellfleet, Massachusetts.
All right. So, what made you join the service?
Well, a number of reasons. First and foremost, I wanted to serve my country. This is a great, wonderful country, and I felt that I could contribute to it in service. So I joined the Air Force in 1986 and served for 6 years during the first Gulf War, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and felt that it was important for me to give back something to my country. So.
All right. Who were the opposing sides?
Well, when I went in, it was really during peacetime. It was post the collapse of the Soviet Union. Actually, excuse me, the Soviet Union collapsed in '92. I went in '86. But I suppose the opposing side was the Soviet Union at that point. But, you know, I was part of a 13-man mobility team when I was assigned to Hanscom Air Force Base, and our mission was to support any sort of a conflict that would occur in Spain, of all places. I was never deployed there, but we were set up to support any forces over in Spain, if that were necessary.
Mm-hmm. So, in your early life, what happened as when you joined? What were, I guess, your daily tasks?
When I joined the Air Force?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was interested in the intelligence area of the armed forces, and a natural progression from intelligence was to go into the security police. So I went into the security police force and did flight line security. Also was involved in entry control point security. I basically did everything on an Air Force installation that a police officer would do in civilian life. So I had powers of arrest and search and seizure and that sort of thing. But eventually, after I had been deployed, or assigned to Hanscom Air Force Base rather, I got involved in program management. I was picked up as a deputy program manager of an initiative called Scope Shield, and it was a tactical radio program. So this communication system would be used out in the field by our forces, by Air Force forces, to communicate with bases and to communicate with other satellite stations that were set up. For example, in Kuwait, the system was deployed and was used to maintain strong communications among forces that were spread out over a wide area. We had base stations, repeaters, all of these other components to the system which could carry the signal at great distances, and I was deputy program manager of that.
Now, did you go through any intense training?
I did. Yeah, I first went to San Antonio, Texas for my basic training, which was 6 weeks, and it was murder. It wasn't easy. And then after basic training, I went through the police academy, Air Force Police Academy.
Now, who was the president at the time?
It was George Bush, George Bush Sr.
Mm-hmm,
First
the father.
Yeah.
Now, were you stressed when you were in the service? Did you have intense stress, or was it kind of an easy time?
It wasn't easy, but it wasn't, and there were stressful moments, certainly. Whenever you sign up for the United States military and to serve, there are bound to be stressful moments, mm-hmm. because at any given moment you can be deployed somewhere. There were several times I had to go down to the certified base operations office and fill out my will and all of these other documents, because there was a prospect of being deployed someplace. And it's stressful because you're leaving your family, mm-hmm. Behind, and in the end, though, it's definitely worth it. And I won't say it was easy. None of it was really easy.
Did you have any good memories, like of times you enjoyed particularly?
Many, many good memories. I I loved serving my country. It was an honor. I met some incredible people while I was on active duty. I did a lot of interesting things. Being, as a matter of fact, I made Air Force history. At the time, I was named Deputy Program Manager of this tactical radio system because I was the most junior grade Deputy Program Manager in the Air Force at that time. So the opportunities are really limitless, and that's one thing that I liked about it. You work hard, you can get ahead, and do a lot of incredible things, and meet a lot of, as I said, meet a lot of incredible people.
So, what now do you do as you're not in service?
I'm not in service right now. I'm wearing my uniform, for those of you who are watching this, because I usually march in the 4th of July parade, and with a couple of other Air Force veterans and National Guard veterans, carry the United States flag, which I'm very proud of. But what I do now, I have a rather varied career. I do property management type work. I am involved in insurance consulting work. I do a variety of things, really.
Do you have any interesting stories about the war that you would like to tell or feel comfortable telling?
Yeah, actually, although I served during Desert Shield, Desert Storm, I want to make one thing clear. I was never deployed over there. Never deployed to Kuwait or Iraq, and that I often think, I was certainly ready to go, and I almost had orders cut on 3 separate occasions, but for whatever reason, my area, my group was never deployed, for one reason or another. You went through that a lot. You had to make all the preparations, as I stated a little while ago. You have to go through the will process and all of the other documentation in order to prepare yourself for potentially getting injured or even losing your life if you were deployed, so that your family, the transition would be easier for your family. However, I was never deployed, physically deployed. I was stateside the whole time. So,
do you know anyone who still serves? Any of your friends, family members who are
yeah, I have some friends who are serving on the National Guard. I really, as is often the case when you've been out as long as I have, because I have been out for some time now. 1992 is, I believe, 1992 is when I left active duty. Most of the people that I knew, you just fall out of touch, and we really haven't maintained contact up to this point.
What did your family think about you joining?
They were fully supportive of it. They were very, very happy that I made that decision. Of course, they have reservations, especially my mom. She had reservations about my going, but that's only natural. In the end, though, absolutely supportive.
So, how old were you when you did join? Were you out of high school or college?
I was out of college, and I decided, as I was getting to the point where I knew I was getting older, I really wanted to do this before it got to the point where it just wouldn't have been practical for me to go in. So I was a little older than some of the people that went through basic training, but I also went in with a higher grade, which is often the case. With the college education and with the experience that I had, I was 2 grades higher than most of the other people that were there. But that didn't happen immediately either, because you do have to go through basic training. So, that everyone is on an equal playing field when you go through basic. We all get our heads shaved. We all have to be yelled at by the training instructor. We all have to do all of the physical aspects that are required. So, it's no favoritism, I'll put it that way.
Now, this is sort of not directed to you, I guess. Did anyone disobey the instructor? Like, when their orders were given, did they not do it, or did they do it immediately?
I wouldn't say that everyone did it immediately, but they learned very quickly that it was better for them if they did, if they followed orders right away and followed instruction. Certainly, there were some who were resistant to that sort of discipline and instruction, and it's quickly dealt with. And there were quite a number that were actually washed out of the program that just didn't make it. They for whatever reason they didn't respond well or adapt very well to that lifestyle and the instruction and the training and that sort of thing. So they were let go.
So,
And that's not to say, I should add, that's not to diminish those who didn't go through the program in any way. It's not everyone is suited for the military lifestyle.
So, what was the peace treaty, or I guess, what ended Desert Storm?
Well, we had achieved our goal in Desert Shield and Desert Storm, and that was to get the Iraqis out of Kuwait, and that was successful. There has been a lot of debate over the years, obviously, of whether or not we should have stayed in, because we had the second Gulf War during George W. Bush, and there are people who thought we should have just stayed there and finished the job once and for all, dealt with Saddam Hussein and that regime, and just taken care of it while we had all of the forces, all of the troops, and so forth. Well, those decisions are made at a level that really none of us are privy to, and they're high-level discussions, political discussions, military strategy, that sort of thing. But we did achieve our goal during Desert Storm, and that was to get the Iraqis out of Kuwait. And then a short time later, of course, we were back.
Now, has your military experience helped you or hindered you in your everyday life?
Oh, I think it's helped. I don't think that there's really any downside to serving your country, as far as I'm personally concerned. And it helps with discipline, it helps with focus, just handling everyday tasks, and your whole perspective on life changes. So I think it's highly beneficial and very, it instills a sense of pride and to know that you've served, and also just in your daily relations with people, just really every aspect of life. I don't think it's too far a stretch to say that it affects really everything about you, your whole perspective on things.
So going back to your school, your, I guess, schooling, what college did you go to?
I went to Northeastern University, and I attained a degree in criminal justice, a Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice. And before that, I went to Cape Cod Community College, which was a great step. I'm a huge proponent of two-year schools, of junior colleges. And then I transferred those credits that I attained at Cape Cod Community College to Northeastern and graduated from Northeastern. And I also, in terms of education, your question regarding education, I was pursuing, while I was in the Air Force, pursuing a master's degree in government studies at Harvard Extension School. So.
Now, I'm gonna